Hello everyone, John from Mikey here, the ex-Disney guy, to give you another wonderful training video to help you understand how you're going to make this customer experience in your shops even more magical today. So when you're thinking about Disney, one of the things Disney is really big on is what they call Showtime. And if you think about it, everything is like a theater. When you go to Disney, it is showtime, right? All the magic begins in the Magic Kingdom parks or in the resorts. It's all about showtime. Well, guess what? The same thing applies in your shops, whether people answer the phones or if they walk into your shops, you are on stage. It's showtime, right? So the question I want to ask you all is this. Are we ready? Are we ready for showtime? Because we need to put on a performance of a lifetime for our customers so that we can create that magical customer experience. So Disney has what's called the 7-10 rule. And the 7-10 rule is this. In 7 seconds, people will form 10 or more impressions about you, about your business, even about the Windsor community. So think about it. 7 seconds isn't a long time, is it? Well, what about if you answer phones? If you answer a phone, it's certainly less than 7 seconds, isn't it? Right? In fact, it's closer to 3 seconds. So think about it. When you're on stage, your customers are forming perceptions about your business and about their experience that they're going to have when they visit your shops. And again, we're calling it the customer experience when it all comes together and now you are ready to go. So let's talk about what Disney means by the 7-10 rule, but more importantly, what your shops mean by incorporating the 7-10 rule. So if you think about it, in 7 seconds. So Disney's rule of thumb is that people will form 10 or more impressions. I'm going to prove to you that we'll have a lot more than 10. And so let's get at it. So if you have a piece of paper and you want to start writing this stuff down, that's great. But we're going to talk about what do you think those first impressions are. Well, let's think about phone calls. Many of you answer a phone. Someone might call up asking about hours, or do you have a certain product, or we want to have an event at maybe one of your shops, we want to have a meeting, whatever it might be. People are going to call you for information. Well, if they call on the phone and it's 3 seconds or less, what do you think they're judging you on, right? Well, it's got to be tone of voice, isn't it? Your tone of voice is what matters on the phone. And based on your tone of voice, will determine whether I think it's an enjoyable experience or not. So let's have this little fun exercise. I want everybody to shout out the word "oh" out loud. Oh. Now do it sympathetically. Oh. Do it with excitement. Oh. Same word has different meanings based on what? Tone of voice. So you want to put a smile on your voice. You want to make sure you answer the phones pleasantly, following the script that you need to do. But more importantly, you have to remember when you answer the phone, you are on stage. It is showtime. Everything matters. So we have tone of voice. Well, what else do you think matters for showtime? Right? Well, what about appearance? Appearance is important, right? Because appearance is what you look like while you are on stage and it's showtime. So what should your appearance look like? Well, each of your shops have your unique appearance, but it's for a reason. So at Lollies and stuff, it's fun. It's a candy store. It's a international supermarket. It's got all kinds of things, but how you dress sets the tone for the experience that they're going to have. So I know many of you have the Mickey dresses or the red and blacks outfits. Again, it's to ignite so that customers come into your shops and they go, wow, guy stuff. They might have athletic wear, maybe celebrating the Panthers championship. Again, it sets the tone for the shop. And even in delicious desserts, you're going to wear something that's a casual coffee shop environment to make your customers feel uncomfortable. Well, you have to remember your appearance counts because you are on stage. So if you ever go to Disney World and you come across Cinderella, Cinderella is in a costume, and we want Cinderella to look great. But if you walk down Main Street and you saw Cinderella wearing jeans, wouldn't that take away from the showtime? Absolutely. So although Cinderella will be a lot more comfortable wearing jeans, she wears a beautiful dress because she wants people to feel engaged in that experience because it is showtime. So your appearance is very good. It's not a rule or regulation that one of your managers have put in place. It sets the tone for the experience. And so your appearance is good. So you want to look the part. You want to make sure it's not wrinkled or dirty. You want to make sure your name badges are there. Whatever you have, you want to make sure that every day you come to work, your appearance is first class, because you have to remember you are on stage. What about if I enter one of your shops? Does it look clean, right? Well, you might look around your shops and say, yeah, it looks clean, but is it really clean, right? Are there fingerprints on the doors as they enter? Are there cigarette butts or trash in front of the door before your customers enter, right? What does that look like? Your restrooms, particularly in your delicious desserts, are they clean? Now, clean is one thing, but really clean is what you're striving for. Again, treating them like a guest. You want to make sure that it is really clean. So why is it important to make sure your shops are clean? Because it is showtime. You want to make sure your presence when your customers arrive, that is in a nice, clean environment. What about a greeting? Right? What type of greeting do we give our customers when they come in? Isn't that a first impression? If I walk in and all of the employees ignore me, well, what's my impression? My impression is nobody really cares that I'm here to look around or possibly buy something, right? But a nice welcome greeting, hello, how are you? Welcome, right? That makes me feel good because it is part of the show. So a greeting. What about smiling, right? We don't want to have a grumpy face when our customers come into our stores. We want to be happy because particularly in the lolly stuff, it's a candy store. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of activities. There's a lot of merchandise that I can get. I'm like, wow, this is great. Smiling adds to that, sets the tone that this is going to be a great place to be. What about helpful? Were you all helpful? Were we helpful in answering questions or getting you to a location of an item that you're looking for? Or maybe looking at a menu and helpful, explaining some of the things on the menu or specialty desserts or coffees, whatever you might have. Am I helpful in explaining that? Very, very important because, again, that's a first impression. Well, not only was I helpful, but was I knowledgeable? Right? Did I know what I was talking about? Have you ever been into a restaurant and you ask the waiter or waitress, hey, I'm interested in this dish, and the person says, I don't know, I never tried it. I have no idea if it's any good. You work here and you don't know if it's any good? Seriously? By being knowledgeable, someone's going to come across and say, yeah, this is great. In fact, it's made with these ingredients. And you'll love it because it's served with such things, right? Maybe it's at the lollies and stuff. You explain about the particular product, candy or international grocery, whatever it might be. You're knowledgeable about the product, where it comes from, where it was made, maybe some things about the ingredients. Maybe it's really healthy. I don't know. That's being knowledgeable. And again, what's my impression? Wow, those people really know what they're doing. They really understand. So we want to make sure that you are knowledgeable. If you don't know the answers, ask your fellow coworkers or ask one of your managers and supervisors to help explain things to you so that you become more knowledgeable. What about confident in that knowledge, right? Were you confident? Yeah, that's exactly. Maybe someone calls on the phone and wants directions, and you say, well, I'm not really sure how to get here from where you are. I'm not very happy with those. I'm going to be really worried. But if you say, oh, absolutely, you make a left at that light, and you go past this store, that's confident. that makes me feel like, well, you all know what you're doing. So those are things that are good. What about organized? Are you organized? Right? Are the shelves stocked? Are they organized? Are there certain things dated? Are the items moved up front? Right? But also, you don't want a bunch of empty boxes all over the place and trash around it. You want to make sure everything is in its place. So you want to become organized because that's a reflection of you. Especially if I ask you a question and you can't find something, it makes me wonder, are you really organized? And so we want to make sure that we are organized, right? What about our energy? What kind of energy level do we want to have in our shops? High energy. You don't want to be moping around. Good morning, how are you? That doesn't set the tone for a good Showtime experience. So we want a good upbeat energy. Do the best you can. Remember that you're on stage. Now, when you're backstage in the storage rooms, you can slouch a little bit. You can catch up. But when you step foot on that floor, you are on stage. Your energy needs to be high. Your attitude needs to be, I'm trying to spell attitude, needs to be positive. And again, I know you work very hard. And sometimes you are extremely busy. And it's tough work that you do. But we want to make sure we have a positive attitude because that's what your customers expect when you're on stage. It is showtime, right? And who wants to do business with somebody who's grumpy or negative all the time? I certainly don't want to do business with that business. So you want to make sure we are positive, good energy level from that. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We are way more over 10. And I bet you can continue to come up with more. What about approachable? Right? When a customer approaches you, are you willing to help? Or are you then too busy stocking shelves or busy doing project work? Or are you turn around? How can I help you today? What is it that you need from us? Any questions? That's approachable. You be the first one to break the ice. You be the person to say, good morning, good afternoon, how are you? Right? If you're the first person that does that, the perception is that you really cared. If I'm the customer and I'm the one that says good morning to you first, then the perception is you probably wouldn't have said anything to me. We certainly don't want that. Customers to think that we're rude or that we're ignoring them. So we want to make sure that we are extremely approachable to our customers, right? So all of these things and a lot more. What about the atmosphere of your shops? I call it the sights, sounds, and smells of your shops, right? So when they walk in, lights are all working, right? There are no light bulbs out. Why? Because showtime. If you go watch a Broadway play or you go watch a movie, lights, camera, action. They make sure everything is working because they want to put on a good show. No different than in your shops. Maybe music going on in the background, right? That's the atmosphere. Again, all of these, the appearance, the costumes that you all wear, your uniforms, all add to the friendly atmosphere that you're trying to portray. So all of these things and a lot more. And I encourage you to talk with your fellow coworkers and see how many more you can come up with that are on stage that will add to your showtime. Again, even if you send an email to someone, you are on stage. Make sure there's no grammatical errors, right? Make sure it looks professional, right? Because you are on stage. That's some of the things that I'm going to judge. Here's a really big one. Sense of urgency. So think about sense of urgency. Think about when someone does not have a good sense of urgency. What do you think about that? In fact, if you're waiting online and there's a long line at the cash register, right? And I'm wondering, okay, there's a line, lots of people buying stuff, that's great. But what is the cashier doing? Is the cashier just sort of moseying around, talking to their friends, maybe on their cell phone, right? And you're wondering, where's the sense of urgency of trying to get rid of the line or to work as fast as you can? So a sense of urgency just means you're trying to up your energy level a little degree, right? Get that energy level up. Walk around the shop a little bit faster, especially when you're going from one end of the shop to the other, right? Have some sense of urgency so people know that you are excited and energetic to wait on me, to answer my questions, to help me, whatever I need. When you do those sort of things, there's no doubt that I will feel good about those people working. And remember, your customers are going to remember you, not everything else. They're going to remember you. So by you displaying this during Showtime, you're going to create that great experience. So think about some of these things. Think about what good show looks like. Also think about what bad show looks like. If there's a spill on the floor or a stained carpet, or maybe there's products out of line, or maybe it's missing a pricing. So your customers don't even know what things cost, right? Or maybe it's a food display. I go and give the food to you, but it's all mixed matched on that plate, that presentation. All of those things matter because you are on stage. So again, think about what's good show, think about what is not good show, do your best to correct it, and you will create a great Showtime performance. And one of the things to add to this is that when you hear the words once upon a time, what do you think about? Well, most people think about a story, right? Maybe it's a bedtime story. Maybe you have little kids and you always read them a fairy tale story. And they always start out once upon a time. Well, I'm not here to tell you a story, but I will tell you who might tell stories, and that's your customers. And we want them to tell stories, but we want them to tell the good stories. We want them to tell their friends. We want to tell their coworkers how great experience that they had, the great products and merchandise that you have to offer, the delicious desserts were out of this world. We want them to tell the story, but we also want them to tell the good ones, right? So how do we get our customers to tell the good stories? Well, what we want to do is we want to always try to exceed the expectations, right? And one of the things that Walt Disney taught us at Disney, and this philosophy still is going on today. Long after Walt Disney's gone, the philosophy at Disney still stands today. And this is how Disney always exceeds the expectations. Every time you go there, it gets better and better. How do they do that? How do all the cast members do it? Well, they follow a simple philosophy that Walt created. And Walt called it the plus factor. And what he meant by that was, he said, whatever you do, plus it by one. Just do a little bit extra, no matter what you do. What could that little extra be? It could be a lot of different things. But just go out of your way to do a little bit extra. Now, he didn't mean this much. He just said this much. And if everyone in your shops does this much, it adds up. So what do we mean by this much? Well, it might be, I'm going to come to work this much early just to make sure things are organized before we open the doors. I'm going to answer the phones this much faster. Right? I'm going to stock the shelves this much neater. Right? Appearance-wise, I'm going to dress this much sharper, make sure my hair, everything looks great. Right? This much. I'm going to spend this much more time smiling, getting to know my customers. I'm going to make sure that my sense of urgency is this much. Right? Anything could be this much. It's just little extras that you do collectively as a team that will create that magical experience. So think about all the little things that you can do. And imagine there is a lot. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. And many of these things, you don't have to ask your manager's permission. Just do those little extras to make your customers feel special. And I'm sure your managers are going to love it. But more importantly, your customers are going to love it. And they're going to tell great stories. So think about what little extras you can do. Right? This is a little note here. Maybe you can see it, but it says, wishing you and your loved ones good health. Thank you for supporting our family business. Now, that was given to me at a restaurant that I did a takeout because of the pandemic. right? Now the pandemic's been around for a while, whatever it was, but when I opened up at the kitchen table our takeout items, my wife and I, inside we saw a handwritten note. Now how much did that handwritten note cost? Nothing. How long did it take? A couple of seconds. But what did it mean to me? It meant that as that business owner, they really cared that I took the time to do a takeout. So think about how you can write little notes in those packages, or maybe even when you're stuffing the merchandise, maybe a little note that says, hey, we thank you, we appreciate your business. Nobody does that. But if your shops do that, I'm telling you, those are little extras that people will remember. The bottom left-hand corner is, I went out for a run one morning at a hotel, and when I got back, the valet parker gave me a bottle of water. Now, the bottle of water doesn't cost that hotel much, but what did it mean to me? It meant a lot. Took the time to give me a bottle of water, and then asked me, where did I go, and what route did I choose, and if I'm going to be here tomorrow, here's another route you might want to try. What was my message? Well, the message was that they cared. They cared about me, right? And if you display that to your customers, people are going to know that you care. So what little extras? I encourage you to work together as in groups. What little extras can you do? And again, don't think of it as to be some big idea. The small ones are usually the better. And what you might think is not a big deal, maybe to one of your customers, it is a big deal. Some people might say a bottle of water, no big deal, but you go run 4 miles on a hot Los Angeles sunny morning, that bottle of water certainly felt great. So again, think of little things that you can do. So remember, if you dream it, you can do it. So what do you think about now in your shops, right? What do you think about in Lolly's stuff, or in Guy's stuff, or in Delicious Desserts? If you apply some of the things we talked about, and you apply some of the other things that you're learning during the training, what could you imagine your shops would be? Well, I bet you they'll be even more magical than they are today. So again, you're doing a great job, but that little extra might make someone tell a story, tell a friend, help market your business, post it on Facebook, all of those little things that you do. Maybe a little extra could be taking a photo and putting it on Facebook. Maybe a little extra could be giving samples, letting them taste something. Those are little things that really are not costing much money, but those are things that will be remembered and will tell stories. And when you dream about it, those are the things that will come bring your shops, make them real magical experiences. So, as Walt said, do what you do so well, they want to see it again and again, and tell your friends. And that's all we're asking everybody to do. It's each and every one of you do the best job that you can do. You put on a great on-stage Showtime performance. You look the part. You make sure that you're doing everything you can to give that customer a great experience. So when they leave, that experience is the best one that they remember, and they're going to keep telling their friends. That's how you're going to continue to build a great business. And who wouldn't want to be a part of that business? I know I want to. I wish I was there to work in your shops each and every day, because you all are the ones that are making it magical. So thank you very much. Go out there and always make it magical.